Last time out, pre-season testing was very interesting with Carlos Barton and Michael Mocho topping the sessions. Now it is on to the first race of the season. Who will start the season off with a bang? Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Feeder Series Roundup. In this episode we'll be having a look at the first round of the 2014 GP4 DTM Offline Championship taking place around the newer layout of Hockenheim in Germany. In pre-season, Carlos Barton and Michael Mocho topped the Euro Speedway and Barcelona tests respectively, and the pair of them are looking to continue that good showing throughout the course of the season. But can they do well here in Hockenheim? Well, only time will tell. So, I think without further ado, let's go down to Hockenheim and to our DTM narrator Francesco G to take us through what happened in the race.
The 2014 DTM Championship started off great for the Mercedes of Robin Kerlis, who took pole position by just under 2 tenths ahead of two ex-top class drivers, Roland Mouchon and George Roque, who made up the top three. To the race start, and Kerlis made a great start, joining off the line to have a comfortable lead into turn 1, while his Roque got a jump of Mouchon to move up to second. Heading turn 4, and Mouchon will lose another place to the pink Mercedes of Evan Byrne, dropping 4th and into the clutches of Adam Surman. Meanwhile, Zolga didn't have a good qualifying session, and at the end of the first lap, he was at the tail of the field. At the end of the first lap, Kerlis led from Roque 2nd, Evan Byrne 3rd, Surman 4th, Grant 5th. Mouchon, who lost another 2 places, was 6th, with Cowell 7th and Moko rounding out of top 8. Mouchon was desperate to make up for his poor start. He quickly disposed of Sean Grant at turn 2 to move back up to 5th. While he's behind them, Carlos Barton found another way to pass people on track, and as he ran into the back of Maxim Tichtef, moving up to 14th. Meanwhile, the battle for 6 was starting to get intense as Darius Cowell locked to the inside of Sean Grant. However, what he wasn't expecting was Sean Byrne to come out of nowhere and take the pair of them into far 4. However, Cowell will repass Sean into turn 2 on the next lap to take 6th place from the Irishman, leaving him to fend off Michael Mocho, who had already passed Sean Grant. Moko had more on his plate to worry about, as just like Sean, Zachary Fitzwater came out of nowhere to try and overtake Mocho, and Zachary only gets Sean and Michael shut the door on him at the hairpin. Zolga was desperate to make for his bad qualifying. However, he wouldn't do by punting into the back of Andy Higgs at turn 1. Viggo Holst's first race in DTM wasn't going well. First, a dismal qualifying, now he was under threat and about to be overtaken by the BMW of Maxim Tichtef, who had already re-overtook Carlos Barton. After losing places on the first few laps, Sean Grant will lose a few more as a result of running wide at turn 1 a lap later, and the 2004 GP4 Offline Champion Viggo Holst would also make the same mistake at turn 1, dropping a few places in the process. After running wide, Sean Grant was looking to make his way back through the field. He first took Nikola Zobak on lap 10 to move up to 12th, but will lose the position again to him at the same corner on the next lap. It had took a while, but Roland Mouchon was finally on the back of Adam Surman, and on lap 11 disposed of the Brit into the hairpin before being re-overtaken again at turn 2. The battle for the lead was getting intense as over the course of the 12 laps that were gone, George had 8 into Robin Kerlis' lead, and on lap 13 got a good run at the exit of turn 1 to slip down the inside of the Estonian at turn 2. He couldn't quite get the move done. However, on the run down to turn 4, he got inside of him again, and this time was able to complete the move to take the lead. One man who had having a dismal race was 2010 DTM champion Ren Jans. Despite having a poor race, he would leave something for the fans to remember as he made an incredible move on Sean Grant going into the stadium section, lap 14, and roller motion was under threat from Darius Cowell Audi, with the pole moving up to 5th. While behind them, Zachary Fitzwater disposed of Sean Byrne to move up into the points. Motion was not going to give up on Cowell and got him back a lap later in turn 2. Balinzolga had got up to 12th before making an error at turn 1. Thankfully, the Hungarian would not lose a place this time. Zachary Fitzwater was on the move again, this time on the Mercedes of Michael Mocho, and got a Prix at turn 2 on lap 18. The pit stops were underway. Campana and Zorbach had already made their stops. Now it was Balinzolga who was next to pit, rejoining in 20th after his 8-second stop. Lap 19, and fellow compatriot Roland Mochen was one of the first of front runners to pit, as Cowell and Evan Byrne was in front of him, also pit at the same time, with neither of them gaining a place of each other after the stops. Lap 21, and race leader George Roque made his one and only stop, leaving Robin Kerlees out for a few laps to lead. George would rejoin behind Adam Surman in third, who was yet to pit. On the same lap, Zachary Fitzwater made his first stop, with his mechanic serving a quick 6.1 in his box. Zolga was a culprit at turn 1 again, this time T-boning the side of Carlo Barton with a daring move on the inside, leaving the pair of them in a spin, with Zolga dropping to last. Adam Surman was still yet to stop, but George Roque was not wasting any time behind the Audi. On the run down to the hairpin, he got a slipstream of Adam to move up to second. On the same lap, Robin Kerlees, who stayed out a little longer, made his one and only stop of the race, leaving George Roque to retake the lead of the race, while Adam Surman finally made his stop to rejoin in 7th place, with the Brit make Cowell slam on the brakes exit, losing a place to Maxim Tiktov into the process. Next to pit was Michael Mocho, not having the best of races. He was looking for a point finish at least, and rejoined behind Cowell in 9th. Not wanting to waste any time, Moko got a good run on Cowell down the hairpin to move into the points. Roland Mochen was running 4th. However, a mistake at the second to last corner was not what he wanted, and he ended up losing a place to Zachary Fitzwater, who gained a lot after the pit stops. Mochan's tires were clearly shot after that mistake, as he was now about to lose a place to Adam Surman at hairpin. He would then lose a further 2 places. First to Tiktov, who made the Hungarian run out of the road at turn 1. Then to Sean Byrne, who had overtaken Cowell, prior ensuring that Mochen was now outside the points. The battle for third was getting intense, as Zachary Fitzwater and Adam Surman ate into Evans Byrne lead, with the Australian moving up to a podium place at the hairpin, while Surman got Evan a lap later at the same corner. Michael Mocho had moved up to 6, but would drop to 8 thanks to this mistake at turn 1. Nicolas Zobach was trying to ease the pain of a poor race by trying a daring move on Ehoin Carpenter into turn 1. It was a brilliant move, however, it wasn't without Ehoin spinning at the exit. However, as Ehoin tried to rejoin, race leader George Roque got held up by the recovering BMW, allowing Robin Kerlees to go onto the back of the leader. It was 3 wide going into turn 2, with Tiktov and the 2 Byrnes fighting for 5th, with Tiktov winning the battle and Evan drawing the wooden spoon. Lap 14, and George Roque was under threat from Robin Kerlees. The Estonian got a good run down the hairpin to make a carbon copy pass, just like George did to him earlier, to move back into the lead of the race. The final podium place was also for grabs, as Adam Surman was able to pass Zachary Fitzwater to move up into third. At the same corner, Robin took the lead. Campana tried to overtake Holst for 14th but ended up overdoing it at turn 1, losing time as a result. Mochan, with short tires, would lose another place, this time to the BMW of Ibobo, who would go to pass onto Darius Kuwal a couple of laps later. Jans was looking to get into the points by trying to overtake Evan Byrne, who had already lost a place to Michael Mocho, but ended up overdoing it, and the Latvian ended up pinning, losing places and over first. After an exciting 47 laps, Robin Kirlees came through to take the first win of 2014, with George Roque satisfied with second, but feeling it could have been more, whilst Edan Sorman, in his first ever race, took the final podium place. Zachary Fitzwater finished 4th, Sian Byrne in 5th, Maxim Titum 6th, Mocho 7th, and Evan Byrne rounded out the points in 8th. The Drivers' Championship was the same as the results, with Robin Kirlees taking an early lead, with George Roque 2nd and Edan Sorman 3rd.
So congratulations to Robin Kirlees, who takes the first win of 2014 for DTM. It was quite lucky with George being held up by a back marker, but that is sometimes what you need in racing, and Robbie clearly capitalised on that. Well, just before we leave you today, we just have time to do a bit of a follow-up from one of the segments last week. In the first episode, we revealed the 2014 GP2 calendar and told you that 3 races were still yet to be announced due to the public voting for them. Well, coincidentally, a few minutes after the first episode hit, those 3 standalone races got announced. Round 9 will take place at the Circuit de Nevers Magny-Cours circuit in France, which will take place on the same week of the Japanese Grand Prix. Round 10 will take place at the Autodromo Enzo e Dino Ferrari circuit in Italy for their San Marino Grand Prix, which will take place on the week of the Russian Grand Prix. And round 11 will take place at the Autodromo do Estoril circuit in Portugal, which will take place on the week of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Well, that is it for this week's edition of the Feeder Series Roundup. Next time we'll be having a look at round 2 of the DTM Championship at Brno, and also having a look at the first race of the GP2 Championship at Sakhir in Bahrain. But until then, I have been JWF1, and I will see you next week.